This is Bryan. His 9-location coffee business is on track to make $5.8 million this year. But the crazy part is, Bryan was told his first shop was in a bad area and the idea wouldn't work.
I said, we're looking at doing a coffee shop here. And he goes, well, good luck. Basically, that was the vote of confidence we had. There was nothing but antique stores, really. Maybe a candy store. And nothing was happening down here.
In this episode of Founder Driven, I drive to downtown Puyallup, about 40 minutes south of Seattle, to meet Bryan and learn how he grew Anthem Coffee.
So last year, we were like a $3.6 million company with the locations we had here in Washington State. But that acquisition brought us up projections 5.8. We did over $500,000 in sales in 1 month. By far, busiest day ever is like a $6,000 to $8,000 day. Parade days, those are like the Super Bowl of coffee for us.
In this episode, Bryan shares how to grow an indie coffee brand to 9 location and millions in revenue, Bryan's coffee shop marketing blueprint, and the secret to growing a brand in any market. Plus, coffee shop economics, including revenue, profit margins, and the one thing that nearly put Bryan out of business.
It was almost as if someone hit a reset button on our entire organization. Still terrifying, man. It's terrifying. And we opened 2 new locations in another state. Why did we do that, you might wonder? The last few years, my hair's turned gray. And, I like to tell people I'm 65 years old in business years.
This is Founder Driven.
When you were going to get started here, this was considered a bad neighborhood or a bad spot to start.
Literally, this street right behind me, 17 plus years ago, my father-in-law drove by. He was with the Puyallup Police Department, and he parked, or he saw me standing in the middle of the road. He goes, "Bryan, what the heck are you doing standing in the middle of the road?" I said, "We're looking at doing a coffee shop here." And he goes, well, good luck. Basically, that was the vote of confidence we had, because there was nothing but antique stores, really. Maybe a candy store. Nothing was happening down here. Over 17 years, a lot has developed here. However, again, as we stood and looked at this location and we knew the plans for the city, we thought we want to be here and help be a part of growing that. So far, we've been able to really stand the test of time here in this spot. And we've seen changes come, and we've been a part of the change making that's happened here. They said they rated this location as a C location. We looked at a few of the A locations that they had recommended. They didn't feel right. So we didn't go through any kind of major strategic plan to make the decision on this spot. We looked at the other ones. We didn't feel good about those. We felt great about this one and went for it. But we also knew there's a police station, there's a high school, there's a train station, there's a bank, actually 4 banks, to be honest. There's activity here in news. And then everything kind of just, added to it. It's like, just when you thought it couldn't get any better, now they put this little spray park here, which is kind of nice to run through after a shift.
So you saw the vision of the place, even though it wasn't like that
totally
at the time. Yeah.
And I think that's half of the thing for any entrepreneurs or business owners listening out there. There's a certain comfort level with risk, a certain peace that will, come into you. And we just felt that about the spot. We thought, okay, it's all chips in, dude. Let's go. Let's make this thing happen. No turning back.
And that's after how many years since you started?
Gosh, we started 17 years ago with just the one store here on the corner right behind me. So we had one store for 5 years. We added our second store at the 5-year mark for another 5 years. So 10 years, 2 stores.
So 1 coffee shop for 5 years, 2 for another 5 years. That's 10 years.
Yep.
And then the next 7.
We were at this place where we needed to find a bakery, and there was an opportunity to take over a failed coffee shop. And that was our 3rd spot. So we got that spot. Then our broker ended up finding us a failed bakery, store number 4. So it was the Old Town location, number 3. 4 to 5 months later, this huge bakery cafe, store number 4. Then we expanded to another location, 5. Then we added 6, 7, and 8.
A lot of people walking around. How do you find these locations?
Yeah, a lot of times the location finds us, or somebody brings it to us. The opportunity presents itself. Last week, we closed a double-sided drive-through. After COVID, we've tried kind of everything. We've done a coffee school. We've done pop-up shops. We got a coffee cart. We got a trailer. And then an opportunity came, a double-sided drive-through. We will be able to attract more people to our location with our brand. And we signed a 1-year deal, but we failed and we closed it just last week. And now we're pivoting all that equipment over to a concession stand at a lake. Okay. So for the next 2 months. So July and August of 2024, we're going to have Anthem Coffee Summer Camp at the lake. And we're going to just have some fun with it and try and experiment. Yep. I would encourage, hopefully anybody who sees this video, follow our journey, check out our Instagram, see how it's going. Failure's all part of the process is what I'm getting at. And we're working on the process for how we choose locations in the future. But as you bring up the Arizona locations, they're very much like this, like destination spots. Yep. Places where people are naturally out and about, frolicking, hitting the park, hanging out, shopping. And or they just make it a point to come to our spot. So I think, destination location is going to be a check mark for kind of future stuff for us, right?
Hey, this is Brett from Founder Driven. Would you like to help me out? Right now, I'm driving across the country meeting with entrepreneurs who want to share their story in a video like the one you're watching right now. I'm actively looking for founders in Utah, California, Nevada, Oregon, Colorado, and yes, even North Dakota. So if you are someone or know someone with a business that should be featured, let me know about them in the comments or click on the resource box just below this video for my contact info. This is completely free, but I am looking for people who really do want to share their entrepreneurial journey and business knowledge with our audience and want to be transparent about the good and the challenges of running a business so that it makes a helpful video. So if you can help, it would be greatly appreciated. Now let's get back to this video.
Is it scary opening up a new location? Still
terrifying, man. It's terrifying. And when you said that,
yeah,
I go, it's been years since we opened a new location, but the truth is we opened 2 new locations in another state. Brett, what are we doing with our lives? Why did we do that? You might wonder. For years we had been traveling down to Arizona as a family, fell in love with the desert. Yeah. And specifically the West Valley of Phoenix. So this area called Buckeye. It's the 9th fastest growing city in America right now. And there was a void of great coffee in that region. However, there was a great little coffee shop that we would always go to. 4 years, fast forward, we happened to be there the top of last year visiting. And I just kind of got the itch to look around for coffee businesses for sale. I've been studying and thinking about, growth through acquisitions. Mm-hmm. And so this was a good it was a cool exercise, but I was looking around, I go, holy smokes. I think that's our favorite little Arizona coffee shop that's for sale. It was so scary, Brett, to open in a foreign land, our Anthem coffee brand that nobody knows of or has ever even heard of. And what made it even more terrifying was the fact that these weren't failed coffee shops like the coffee shops we had taken over in the past. These were thriving coffee shops that people in the community loved and knew and cared about the families who owned them. And so, there's a lot to be learned from maybe the way we navigated the marketing side of things and the messaging to the community of how the takeover happened, because some of the perception online anyway was that, we just came in out of nowhere and took over the business. The fact is, these girls built something attractive enough to sell for actual money, which is fantastic. It's what you want to do. You want to build a business to be able to sell it. And they sold it, it should be something to be celebrated.
You're a family business.
I'm a family business guy, dude.
You're not like a Starbucks or a BlackRock coming in and buying a...
Totally not.
It's very different.
So, we had some major backlash to that transition. And we bought the business, let it run business as usual for 6 months under the previous brand of what it was called. It was called Ebb and Flow Coffee Co. Right. And, I knew that there's no way I can come flip the switch and go, hi, Anthem's here. No, none of the team members would have even known what Anthem felt like or smelt like or acted like. They've never seen it. All they've ever known was Ebb and Flow Coffee. So intentionally, I would travel down every month, multiple times sometimes, to do trainings and to work with the team and to instill our values and our culture and our mindset and our how we do what we do. And then COVID hit. And so the rug gets pulled out completely from under us all. And we're dazed and confused at this point because that was never supposed to happen.
Yeah.
that wasn't part of our plan anyway. So that threw us for a big loop. And we immediately closed all locations because we only had one that had a drive-through. So we closed all locations in 2020. Set, what was it? 2 weeks to flatten the curve was kind of the whole thing. And, what happens in 2 weeks for a business, especially one that's habitual and where you depend on that daily ritual of coming in for coffee, it killed us. I mean, quite frankly, we only had one location operating through the drive-through window after those 2 weeks were over. And all the other double-sided drive-through cafes in the area were clean in house, obviously, because they kept rolling through the drive-through. That was kind of the safest route back then. So it was almost as if someone hit a reset button on our entire organization. So you and I had talked, back in 2019 or so.
Yeah, before.
And it was all rainbows and unicorns and what an incredible industry. And I was traveling a ton with Coffee Fest and speaking and investing and sewing into so many other business owners' lives, coffee business owners specifically, and teaching them how to create successful coffee shops and that are mission driven and have a purpose behind them. So every day feels like day one again. Every day, this all feels like a startup. We're really just trying to outperform how we did the day before, how we did the week or month or year before.
What would be the biggest piece of advice or tip that you would give to somebody that's either operating a coffee shop or kind of thinking about starting one?
I realize, man, business ownership is not for the faint of heart. It doesn't matter what business you go into. Coffee business specifically demands so much outgo, so much of yourself is poured into it, no pun intended. It's exhausting. And if you don't have a very strong, compelling reason why you're doing it or vision for the future, you're going to tap out pretty easy. You just got to know that it's not a get rich quick scheme. You have to be in it for the long haul. You have to be in it for even more so than the money. The money will chase the mission eventually. It will. And your job will be to just be on mission, be on point, do things to impact and influence and make the community better. And money will come.
Transitioning a little bit, what does your typical day look like right now? And what did it look like? What did it look like when you started?
There was once a time where I would clock in and clock out to some degree. When we had one store, in the early years when our kids were small, and it was nice. Then there was this season of now there's multiple stores to manage, and I have to almost, I think it's important as owners, look at what's working, what's not working, what's broken in that rhythm for you. Dump the stuff that isn't going to help advance you towards your mission or your goals. First of all, get goals. If you don't have them, you got to have a destination in mind that you're heading towards. There's been seasons where I'm just frenetically running around, putting out fires. I'm just a glorified firefighter at times. There's a book that Susan Scott wrote called Fierce Conversations. All I read was the title. It says, interrogate reality. Okay, that means then that we have to go ask hard questions. We have to dig into the truth. We have to understand the why behind the what. We can't just allow everything to kind of just persist, especially if it's not hitting the goal that we have, which my goal, I'd love to see 10% or more net profit. Why aren't we hitting that? You start asking that question, you start digging. There's ways to increase efficiency, to train your team members to work smarter, not harder, and to maximize their capabilities while they're on the floor. There's ways to do that.
What's one of the most common mistakes you see coffee shops making or coffee brands making?
Please taste your products.
Yeah.
Please make sure that what you're serving people is palatable and delicious. Make sure you got stuff that makes you want to jump out of bed and get down there right away. If we want to continue to win people over daily and have them come back again and again and again, I'm always trying to find what's working about this brand, about the feel of this space. And this is for any shop I go to. You got to create a unique experience for people that will change their life some way, hopefully for the good, because we want them to come back again and again and again and again and again.
When you add a new location, do you have a minimum revenue number you're hoping to hit when you open that up?
We're really in a place that we want to do 100,000 and in sales a month. We at that
Per
one
location. Okay.
at those. We're not anywhere near that at the locations we have right now. This is our only, and I think it was back then, $1 million store. Like I think it got to 1.2 at its highest point.
What's the highest sales day you've ever had?
We did over $500,000 in sales in 1 month. So that was like, what? By far, busiest day ever is like a $6,000 to $8,000 day. But there's parades and events as well that'll take place. And on parade days, those are like the Super Bowl of coffee for us. I'm trying to lines down the block, and we have people blowing whistles and coordinating all the excitement. But those days are astronomical because a lot of times parents, kids are standing watching the parade and they need something delicious in their hands. So
how many cups of coffee do you think you sell in like a month?
We had 43,833 transactions. That could be 1 to 2 drinks to 3 or 4, in one transaction. So probably 100,000 cups went out.
Yeah. What sort of profit margins do you shoot for in a coffee shop?
We're aiming for 10 to 12%. Mm-hmm. It is so hard, especially in this day and age, to get there.
What are the most effective marketing strategies for coffee shops right now?
Love this one. It's not, look at this product. It's not that. It's the connection a customer can feel to the brand through the owner. I think the most important thing is that an owner of a coffee shop, if you want to have an edge over your competition, be the face of it, unapologetically. Share, because no one's going to be able to tell your story about your company better than you can. No one's going to be able to sell your product better than you can. Nobody's going to be able to represent your company better than you can.
How do you get to know people when in Arizona, for example?
Yeah.
Is it just spending a bit of time there? Do you spend a certain amount of time of the year there to just kind of touch base with the community?
You do have to be present where you're planted. So we're planted in Arizona. I had to be present there and intentional to introduce myself to business owners in the area, to host events, to make, to create excitement and buzz. We did a church, a different church worship night one night there. 5 different churches were represented. And we got to meet and connect and share our vision and our heart while we had this event going on. It's amazing. Collaboration is key for building community, especially in a community there where no one knows you.
You got to be putting on the party. Yeah.
You got to put on the party.
Right.
Order the party pants, put on the party, dude. That's the game. 100. This day and age, it's easier than it's ever been to build momentum. Because of these devices, we're able to share to an audience. Thankfully, in Arizona, the previous coffee shop had 4,000 or 5,000 followers, right? So we're able to go, we immediately have an audience to market to share our story to tell, you got to come out for this event. So you might go, well, what if we have no followers? Okay, we'll start to build them. Ask your 1 or 2 friends you have to follow you and to share it. Like, make the ask. Go introduce yourself to businesses. Like, anybody can build an audience or fan base faster and more further than you could ever imagine in this day and age. It's possible.
How do you pitch other business owners for a partnership like that?
Great.
How do you come up with these ideas?
You got to be curious. Take a position of, man, hey, what's your name? First start there. Tell me about your business. Here's a guy, for instance. His name is Luke. He goes by Saucy Luke. He's like the premier barbecue guy down there in Arizona. He comes to our little grotto coffee shop every day. And so I took an interest in this guy's world, and I'm going, tell me more about what you got going on. Now he's selling his barbecue sauces on our shelves in there as a local merchant in one of our locations. Cool. Let's do a collaboration, man.
Yeah.
And I throw that out there. If it's reciprocated, then we start to work on the details. You just don't have because you don't ask.
Yep.
Make the ask. Take a risk.
Yeah.
It's just riskier to keep your lips zipped and be, they might say no or something. Who knows?
Yep.
We've had flower vendors that we collab with. There's a snow cone gal that we're trying to have occupy a portion of our space in one of our locations.
You're basically trying to find different ways to be helpful for other business owners, putting it out there.
And that's got to be hard.
Some people reciprocate and some people don't.
100%.
That's it. Yeah.
If you can add value, if you can use your platform, if you can use what you're already paying for. So how do we, it's not about just you and how you benefit. It's about take this thing and how can it serve other people well? Add value and you'll always get value back. I'm always trying to find what's working about this brand, about the feel of this space. And this is for any shop I go to. Maybe the biggest thing I would say is you got to create a unique experience for people that will change their life some way. hopefully for the good, because we want them to come back again and again and again and again and again. And we want them to bring a friend. We want them to go, dude, when I walk in the shop, they know my name, they know my drink. Watch this. And you come in and we go, what up, Brett?
Yeah.
You sipping your usual, man? Yeah. See, I didn't have to say anything. Please, they know me. That's what we want for every person. So we try to train that in all of our team members to be so intentional about knowing and even being known by the community that they serve. So
we spoke last probably like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
What does the next 5 years look like for Anthem?
You know, we have goals. We want to expand rapidly in Arizona, in that community that we're a part of. We feel like we can, in 5 years, you know, we can add another 5, 6, 7 stores there, another few stores here. There's a lot of opportunities still. So I'd like that to be the goal. Write that down.
Well, hey, thanks for riding along with me on this road trip. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the subscribe button so you never miss an adventure. And if you have a founder that I should visit next, drop a comment below.